Okay, we are now live.
Right.
Oh. Okay, so I'll commence the roll call. So, Councillor Bloxham. Okay, I'll come back to Councillor Bloxham. Councillor Brown.
Present.
Wendy, it's Kim Bloxham. I did call out present.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Thank you.
No.
Councillor Brown, you're present. Councillor Chamberlain. Let's have a look. I'll come back to Councillor Chamberlain. Councillor Davey.
Present.
Councillor Desaran.
Present.
We've had apologies from Councillor Howe. Councillor Key.
Yes, Miss.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Present.
Councillor Pook.
Present.
Councillor Pratt.
Present.
Councillor Skinner.
Present.
Councillor Woodward.
Present.
Councillor Ragg.
Present.
Thank you. So it's just Councillor Chamberlain.
Yeah, she said she'd have to leave at 3 anyway.
Okay. She's still connected, so it
Okay.
looks like she maybe not come back yet. So I'll keep an eye out for her, and then when
Okay.
I see her,
We'll
I'll
crack
get her
on.
to confirm.
Yeah. Right, agenda item 16, application 2015-29 full, Runaway, Courtlands Lane, Exmouth. It's before us because the applicant is a member of the council. So Chris, there's Mr. Matthew Daltamaran to speak. Is he here?
He is, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, would you like to present your report, please?
Are you
Can't
muted,
hear you,
Chris?
Chris.
So am I back now?
Yes, you're back.
Excellent. Right. Now my screen won't share. Just bear with me. Aha, right, we're back.
There you are.
Yeah, so applicant's a member of the council while it's before you. So this is the property here, and there's a proposal for this building to the front, as you can see outlined in red there. And these are the elevations of the buildings. So we've got the existing house, and then we've got a garage, hallway, rec room, and up to a storage area above. Now, there's a history to this application, as you'll note from the report. So in 2014, the application was first submitted. That was refused by the council, but it was won on appeal, where the inspector considered that the visual impact of the garage forward of the property was acceptable and that the proposal was acceptable in all other regards. And then in 2017, that application was renewed. So exactly the same application again, granted in 2017. And we've got the application here to see if members will grant it again. So because it hasn't been implemented yet. And if I just move on, so these are the photos. So where these cars are is the location for the garage in there, and you can see that there's substantial boundary hedges to the property that will screen the lower part of the building, and you can see the relationship back to the main house there on the right. So since the only real change since the consents in 2014 and 2017 is that the Lympstone neighbourhood plan has been made since then. But the proposal complies with all of the policies in the neighbourhood plan. The other change is that this pink building you can see in the background here is now become on our local list as a locally listed building. But given the distances involved to that building, the boundary hedging that we've got here and the scale of the building, so there's a garage with rooms in the roof, there's no harm to that locally listed building. So as there's no significant policy changes or any on-site changes or any physical changes on the site since this proposal was granted in 2014 and 2017, there's not considered to be any reason not to grant the consent again for a further 3 years. Members will also want to note from the report that the applicant would benefit from the government's recent extension to the timescales of applications, such that the 2017 consent would that they'd be able to implement that up until the 1st of May next year anyway. But this consent would grant them a further 3 years from the date of decision. So given none of those changes since the previous consents, the application is recommended for approval with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Daltamarum, you have 3 minutes to speak. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. We are grateful for officer support for the proposal. As explained in the report, 2 previous applications for the same development to construct a detached garage with ancillary accommodation above have been approved at appeal in 2014 and again by the council in 2017. The site circumstances are similar to 2014 and 2017, other than the adjoining property, Chatter Park, being designated as a locally listed building. The 2014 appeal decision, although not the 2017 permission, predates the making of the Lympston Neighbourhood Plan. However, we would concur with officer opinion that the proposal would not be contrary to any of the Lympston Neighbourhood Plan's policies. While the 2017 permission expired on the 8th of August of this year, it is still possible to extend the permission until 1st of May of next year, meaning that the previously approved permission can still lawfully be implemented. The submitted application is therefore essentially intended as a resubmission seeking approval for the same development that has been approved twice previously, to provide additional time in which to commence the scheme, as the applicant may not be able to commence the development within that available period. Turning to the proposal's impact on Chatter Park, that dwelling itself is set within a large plot and would be located over 20 metres from the site of the proposed garage. The application site and Chatter Park are also separated by a high mature hedge, which is shown in the photos, which provides visual screening between the 2 sites. The separation between the sites and the presence of that boundary, hedge boundary, combined with views expressed by the previous planning inspector, mean the proposed development would have little impact on the significance and setting of Chatter Park. We would therefore concur with officer opinion that the design and location of the proposal would not harm the local area, and given the screening and distances of separation between the site and Chatter Park, the proposal would not be harmful to the setting or features of that property. We would therefore respectfully request that members approve the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daltamarum. Are there any members who want to speak? I don't see them. So we go into the meeting, back to members then. Councillor Key.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I mean, I see no problem in this, and therefore I'm more than happy to actually put forward the recommendation of approval. I mean, I think we all must admit that we all know Councillor Ingham, but only as a personal, mine's only just as a personal thing through the council.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
second that. I'll second that, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
I did want to just make sure that the fact that he is a councillor, we've all got that, and that declaration is made.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. No more to say.
Okay, thank you. Right, no other speakers. Can we go to the vote, please? Shirley?
Thank you, members. So we have the motion is to grant approval with conditions as listed in the report. If again you would indicate when your name is called whether you're for the motion to approve, against the motion to approve, or whether you're abstaining from the vote. Thank you.
Councillor Bloxham.
For approval.
Councillor Brown,
Approval.
Councillor Chamberlain,
Approval.
Councillor Davey,
Approval.
Councillor Desaram,
For motion to approve.
Councillor Key,
Approve.
Councillor McLaughlin,
For.
Councillor Pook,
For.
Councillor Pratt,
For.
Councillor Skinner,
For.
Councillor Woodward,
For approval.
Councillor Ragg.
Approve.
Thank you. That was unanimous. That motion has been carried.
Thank you. And we go to agenda item 13, application 2015-16. This is variation. Green Close, Drakes Avenue, Sidford. Chris, can you present your report? And we have a Mr. Phil Brophy to speak as the agent. Is Mr. Brophy in the meeting, please?
No, not yet.
He's about to join us. If I may just also check if Councillor Brown, who made a declaration, has also been put into the waiting room before we consider this matter.
Yes.
Yep, that's been
Thank
done. Mr. Brophy is now in the room.
Thank you. Right, welcome to the meeting, Mr. Brophy.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you. Clear.
Okay.
After Mr. Rose has presented his report, you will have 3 minutes.
Understood.
Thank you. Chris.
Thank you, Chair. So just to start with, to say that we, since the report's been published, we've had further comment from Councillor Rickson, who stated that the replacement tree, which I'll talk about, she's recommending that should be subject to a tree preservation order, and I'll mention that in a minute. But the application is to vary conditions to previous consent for a retirement living accommodation off Green Close in Sidmouth. Members that will have been on the committee a couple of years ago will remember this application coming backwards and forwards a couple of times in relation to affordable housing issues. But this time we've got a variation of condition that's purely related to the replacement of a tree that was formed part of a landscaping scheme to the consent. And the application is in front of you because it's contrary to the views of the Town Council and it's a major application. So none of the details in terms of the access, the design of the building, any of that is changing as part of this application. It simply relates to a tree that was in this part of the site off South Lawn, and it was a chestnut tree, and the proposal is to replace that tree with a new mature tree. As I say, nothing else in the application is changed. You'll read from the report that the reason for the application coming in is that the tree was in it was in decline, and then subsequent to that, the tree has been felled due to storm damage. And the tree officer at the time has mentioned that, and you'll see in the report, that the tree was in severe decline and that they have agreed its replacement with this extra heavy standard tree to go back in its place as a suitable replacement. So sort of circumstances have overtaken the application, but in any case, the tree officer was happy with the removal of the tree and is happy with the replacement. You'll notice in the report that there's mention of affordable housing. All of those contributions that were secured on the previous applications are secured again through the previous legal agreement. So we really are dealing with this issue of the tree, so none of these elevations or floor plans will change. And if I just go, so that was the photo of the tree before it was felled. You could see, I think, all in those photos that, whilst sizable, was in a poor condition, severe decline, as I said, the words of the tree officer, and the proposals to replace that with an extra heavy standard tree. So the recommendation is for approval, although I would like to add an extra condition on, because I noticed that there's no condition on there actually ensuring that should the tree that get replaced, that it should be planted in the first planting season and thereafter maintained for 5 years. and then should that tree die within 5 years, that a suitable replacement is planted. So if members were to approve permission, I'd be grateful if a condition along those lines could be added. And if members want to, I'm also happy to follow Councillor Rixon's request and ask the tree officers to consider a TPO at the appropriate time if members want that added as an additional recommendation. But our recommendation is to approve subject to conditions in the report and that extra condition to secure the replacement of the tree. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Mr. Brophy.
Yes, Madam Chair. Is my 3 minutes on?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all anyway. Thank you very much for the summary up by the case officer. I was the appointed arboriculturalist for the client on this matter. I first visited the site on the 23rd of October 2019 to have a look at the condition of the tree, and obviously confirmed what's been previously spoken about in terms of the decline, but also the fracture of several branches on the tree due to a storm damage event, linked obviously in no way due to the poor branch unions of the trees attachment. So I saw that, we provided some photos, and the indication was that it should be removed on grounds of safety, not only to the site itself, but also to the public carriageway itself. So the intention was obviously to clear that tree away and make space for a new tree, in this case a sweet gum, which will be about 4 meters in height at the point of planting, and up to about 25 years time it should be reaching sort of 10 to 12 meters in height. So it will form a prominent position on the highway, be visible to surrounding residents and obviously occupants of the dwelling that's been consented. So the intention would be to obviously plant that as soon as appropriate in the next growing season. I understand that the tree has now been removed, the previous chestnut. It wouldn't be appropriate to plant a chestnut tree in this case, due to the conditions that the last tree encountered with pathogens in the soil. So that's why there was a switch made in terms of the change to a species. I'm happy to take any questions, but I think pretty much that sums it up. I visited the site on the 19th of last month to review conditions across the site and confirm the remaining of the trees are in good health and condition.
Thank you. Right, Councillor De Sarum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much indeed. I'd just like to say that I think what we've got before us is the right tree in the right place, if I may say. And I'd be more than happy if other members would support me to approve with the extra conditions that Mr. Rose outlined, along with Councillor Rix's recommendations about the TPO, because I think it's absolutely fantastic that we support all our trees and have a positive and a good environment. So with that recommendation, I put forward approval, subject to any other support coming forward. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
How many, sir?
Councillor David Key.
David Key, yeah, that's
Yes.
fine. So
can I just say, I didn't quite catch what the height of the tree was going to be that was going to be planted there. Could Mr. Rose just clarify that?
Yeah, it's 4.5 meters, about around that size.
Yeah, I was going to say, really, we want something about 20 foot, because it can be planted any time now, because the 1st of October is when you can plant these trees. But what I would like to see is also a protective fence put around it while it's maturing.
Yeah, so just on that point, Councillor Key, there's conditions, and we've already agreed protective fence into the existing tree, so that can carry on with the new tree. Yes, that'll be in place.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you. And I have looked up on this sweet gum tree, and it is fairly fast growing, so it'll shoot up in no time, I'm sure. So don't see any more blue hands up. So can we move to the vote? Over to you, Shirley.
Thank you, Chair. So we have a motion to approve subject to the conditions listed, and the additional condition in relation to tree replacement and maintenance, and also that Chris will ask the arboriculture officer to consider the TPOing of trees on the site. Again, if you are for the motion, please indicate when your name is called, whether you're against the motion or whether you're abstaining. Thank you.
Councillor Bloxham.
For.
Oh, no, I was going to say Councillor Brown, but he's in the waiting room. Councillor Chamberlain.
4.
Councillor Davey.
4.
Councillor Desarum.
4.
Councillor Key.
4.
Councillor McLaughlin has had to step away, so she has abstained. Councillor Pook.
4.
Councillor Pratt.
4.
Councillor Skinner.
4.
Councillor Woodward.
4.
Councillor Ragg.
Approved, yeah.
Thank you. I can confirm that motion has been carried.
Okay. And thank you, Mr. Brophy, for attending.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, agenda item 14, application 2017-22, full 7 Bellevue Road, Exmouth. And this one, I believe I'm right in saying it's because the applicant is an employee of the council.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so this application is before you because the applicant's an employee of East Devon District Council, and it's quite a straightforward application. It's a tiny house extension for construction of a porch to the front of the property. So you can see below here where the cursor is, that's the existing elevation, and the application is simply for this porch to the front. So it's fairly small, well designed, will replicate the pitches to the dormer, arguably improve the appearance of the front of the dwelling. As you can see there, so a small porch on the front, and you can see, given the distances to the adjoining properties and its detached nature, there'll be no impact on the amenity of the adjoining residents. So given there's no harm to them, and given it's an acceptable appearance, it's recommended for approval.
Thank you. Councillor Desarum, you have your hand up? Or is that from before?
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, it didn't come down before, but
And Councillor Key's hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. Chris, what would be the size of that porch? Because would that not be without permission, just 3 meters, 3 square meters?
Yeah, it's just over the 3 square meters.
Oh,
If it was a tiny bit smaller, then it wouldn't require planning permission, but it's just over.
I'm happy to put forward approval.
Thank
I'll second that, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Right, thank you. That's been proposed and seconded. Can we take vote on that, Shirley?
Yes, I'm trying to catch up with you all. Yes, you have a motion to approve with the conditions listed. Please, when your name is called, indicate whether you're for the motion, against the motion to approve, or abstain from the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Bloxham.
4.
Councillor Brown.
Approve.
Councillor Chamberlain.
Approve.
Councillor Davey.
4.
Councillor Desarum.
approve.
Councillor Key.
Approve.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Approve.
Councillor Pook.
Approve.
Councillor Pratt.
Approve.
Councillor Skinner.
Approve.
Councillor Woodward.
For approval.
Councillor Ragg.
Approve.
That was unanimous, so that motion has been carried.
Thank you. Right, agenda item 15, application 20-1683, full 6 Fennerton Gardens, Fennerton. We have no speakers on this one, so Chris, can you present your report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so this is an application at 6 Fennerton Gardens for a rear extension, and it's an extension to replace an existing conservatory. And again, it's an application from somebody who's closely related to a member of staff, which is why it's before members. So you can see outlined in red there, the extension to the rear of the property. So at the moment, these are the existing elevations. You can see there's a conservatory on the rear, and they want to replace that conservatory with a flat roof rear extension.
Thank you.
So again, existing, proposed, and these are the photos. So you can see other properties in these terraces have already extended, replaced the conservatory with extension. No visual harm because it's to the rear, and no harm to the amenity of the neighbours. So it's recommended for approval.
Thank you. Now I've got two speakers with their hands still up. Whether that's from last time or not, I don't know. Councillor Skinner.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I know this site. I actually went and had a look, and I'm just going to go with a recommendation of approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder for that, please.
Yes, will do, Chairman.
Thank you, David. Okay, can we go to the vote, shall we?
Yes, Chair. You have a motion to approve with the conditions listed in the officer's report. Again, when your name is called, please indicate whether you're for the motion to approve, against the motion to approve, or whether you're abstaining from the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bloxham.
For approval.
Councillor Brown.
Approve.
Councillor Chamberlain.
Approve.
Councillor Davey.
For approval.
Councillor De Sarum.
For motion to approve.
Councillor Key.
Approve.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Approve.
Councillor Pook.
Approve.
Councillor Pratt.
Approve.
Councillor Skinner.
Approve.
Councillor Woodward.
Approve.
Councillor Ragg.
Approve.
Thank you. That was unanimous again, and that motion has been carried.
Thank you. Well, that brings our meeting to an end, and I'd like to thank everyone, including any members of the public watching online, for taking part. I'd also like to pay thanks to the officers because we've had a few hiccups during this meeting. So thank you for your forbearance and your help. And thank you to members for attending. And can I just remind everybody present that the supporting officer will confirm when the meeting is no longer being recorded or going live. But until then, be careful, your comments will be live to the public.